during the fight to pass the Affordable Care Act, this show and other progressives pushed hard for the public option. But President Obama in the beginning said that he was interested in doing the public option, but it was clear from his language that, in fact, he was going to drop it. And I said that fairly early on when it became clear. In the beginning, I was hopeful. I wanted him to do the public option. I wanted to believe him. But then he would use language that was obvious that, oh, this is going to be a bargaining chip that we're going to throw away. And when I said that at the time, it was still early on in Obama's presidency, a lot of liberals were mad at me. A lot of Democrats were mad at me. They said, oh, no, you don't know. He's definitely going to fight for the public option. He's definitely going to fight for it. He's going to put it in. You don't know, Cenk. And it turns out, no, he threw it away. And you're going to see in the story part of the reason why he did. And some of you will think, oh, well, that makes sense. I don't, and I'll explain why. But so that was the past. The Affordable Care Act passed, and all those concessions to Republicans didn't matter at all. None of them voted for it. None of them. The only reason it passed is because it had a supermajority. Now, I think you could have put the public option in there and had it pass as well. The president chose not to do that. He reached out to Republicans and conservative Democrats and got almost nothing in return. Now, you'll see he got something in return in a second. But today's news is that it turns out he now comes out and says, oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you guys, I'm for the public option. Oh, thank you. Right at the end of your term when you know there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Rhetorically, I guess it's a little helpful for whoever might be president next. So he says, public programs like Medicare often deliver care more cost effectively by curtailing administrative overhead and securing better prices from providers. Yeah, I think that's what the argument we were making earlier that you rejected. Anyway, he said the public plan did not make it into the final legislation. Now, based on the experience with the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, I think Congress should revisit a public plan to compete alongside private insurers in areas of the country where competition is limited. So, yes, a little Johnny-come-lately. Good. I'm glad you agree. Kind of useless now, but all right, good. I'm not going to fight against people who are coming to our side. By the way, why are they coming to our side? Well, as The Hill explains, Hillary Clinton emphasized the public option in an announcement Saturday that was interpreted as a play for supporters of Senator Bernie Sanders, who ran a surprisingly strong campaign against her for the Democratic presidential nomination. I keep wanting to say I'll take it because they're coming to the right place, hopefully, theoretically, maybe. But at the same time, know why they're doing it. All that time they told Bernie Sanders, just go away already. Why don't you quit already? The race is over already. Well, he said, no, I'm going to fight for progressive policy positions. And it turns out on some of those positions, he won. He pushed Hillary Clinton to being in favor of the public option. Hillary Clinton says to Barack Obama, hey, can you do me a favor and say that you're in favor of the public option as I change my position on it? And I'm now more open to it. So Barack Obama does that. And guess what? It turns out Bernie Sanders fighting for those positions did make a difference. Now, it'll only make a difference in the next administration if you can keep this momentum going. That's why I'll take it, but at the same time, understand that Barack Obama doesn't actually want the change today. Now, you're saying, oh, you're being unfair to him. Okay, if you're his supporter. Let's read more from The Hill and see if who's right on this. They say a public option has no real chance of passing Congress, at least with Republicans in charge of the House. Okay, now I tell you that because I know politics. I know that the House Republicans aren't going to give Obama the public option. So I know that when he proposes it now, he doesn't really mean it. It's just rhetoric, maybe helpful rhetoric, but not anything you're going to take action on. But furthermore, they know it. Indeed, the Hill explains, indeed, the aides say that Obama will not be pressuring Congress to pass these changes during his remaining time in office and is instead laying out ideas for future policymakers. So his own advisors, talking to reporters at The Hill, are saying, we don't mean it. The Young Turks were right all along. Okay, we never wanted this goddamn thing. And so Bernie Sanders pushed us here. Okay, fine, you win, Bernie. We'll set it up so that maybe the next administration can win. But right now, we're not going to do a damn thing about it. They so discount you that they're willing to admit that in the press. Why not just shut up about it? You don't have to leak to The Hill and say, hey, don't worry, we're not going to do anything. Well, why do they do it? Because they're constantly appeasing Republicans and conservatives. Hey, conservatives, don't get me wrong. I'm saying public option publicly, but that's just to, mess with progressives / maybe help them way, way down the road. But I'm not going to do anything. Hey, President Obama, I already got that memo. So he goes on to explain, because he just can't help himself, he's going to rub it in a little further. Say, now I put this out there, but don't get me wrong, I'm not really with progressives. He says, simpler approaches to addressing our healthcare problems exist at both ends of the political spectrum, the single-payer model versus government vouchers for all. Yet the nation typically reaches its greatest heights when we find common ground between public and private good and adjust along the way. In other words, the voucher program, which is an extreme right-wing program that doesn't want to fix healthcare at all, just as many people would be uninsured. In fact, more people might be uninsured under that proposal, and President Obama knows that. He equates that hideous proposal to single payer and says, the progressives that want single payer, they're just as crazy as right-wing Republicans. Thank you, President Obama, for that great framing. We really appreciate it. So when we talk about President Obama not fighting, when I've said that for now 7 years, gave him a year, okay, hey, how's he doing? It's, oh, wait a minute, why isn't he fighting? Why doesn't he do this? And then it turns out, no, he never wanted to fight. He never wanted to fight. Look, the minimum you could have done is at least make your case. You've got the bully pulpit. Even if you don't win those fights, go aggressively tell the American people why single payer is great, why the public option is great, why progressive ideas are great. You had the largest microphone in the world, and you chose not to use it. And why? Because he doesn't believe in single payer. He thinks it's an extreme idea of progressives, just as crazy as extreme Republican ideas. And he doesn't believe in the public option, only because Bernie Sanders twisted his arm did he even bother to say this, but he couldn't help himself, had to say at the end, but don't worry, I'm not going to do a damn thing about it. Now, the Hill does point out there were conservative lawmakers at the time when they were trying to pass the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, that didn't want to do the public option. So that is true. So it wasn't just Republicans, it was those conservative Democrats. If I'm the president with a supermajority and I want to pass my signature legislation, I think I could have gotten Democrats to do what I wanted. When it comes to liberal Democrats, he pounds them and he gets them to submit. Conservative Democrats, I don't want to touch you. Conservative Democrats, no. Because they were geniuses. They thought, well, if we get rid of the public option, we'll at least win re-election and things will be great. So let me tell you the four conservative Democrats at the time that fought against the public option. Senator Joe Lieberman, Senator Ben Nelson, Senator Blanche Lincoln, and Senator Mary Landrieu. You know how many of them are in Congress today? None of them. They all lost anyway. Why did they lose? Because they didn't even fight for their side. The other side says, we're right, conservative is the way to go. And they pour in millions of dollars in ads, etc. And this side goes, oh, they're right. We shouldn't do the public option. Single payer is crazy. They're right. Then why the hell would they vote for you? You don't energize your own base, and you don't make a case to independents that you're right. So all of them lost because they are political losers. You think they're playing three-dimensional chess? They don't even know what chess is. They can barely play two-dimensional checkers. They're like, oh, which one is the pieces? You all lost because you were wrong and progressives were right. You didn't fight and you got slaughtered. Now, today, after the public option story comes out, another story comes out. And guess what happens with modern-day conservative Democrats? The Hill explains, quote, centrist Democrats appear reluctant to join their party's embrace of a public option for Obamacare. Of course! These same Democrats have a brilliant new idea. We don't fight for progressive positions because we think we're going to win by out-Republicaning Republicans. How did that work out for Mary Landrieu and Ben Nelson and Blanche Lincoln and Joe Lieberman? Oh, right. Ask them in their retirement because they're not in the Senate anymore. So a new batch, Senator Heitkamp here, explains their loser mentality. I think it's critically important that we stop trying to complicate health care and we start taking a look at what needs to be fixed in Obamacare. It's as if this is a Republican talking point. In fact, it is a Republican talking point, just regurgitated by a corporatist Democrat. She says, until we actually have those conversations and we have bipartisan support, I think it's unrealistic to assume that we're going to see any kind of expansion of care. Remember the lie they fed you? Oh no, we're just starting with the Affordable Care Act, and then later we will expand and expand. And when you go to expand, the conservative Democrats say, no, I need the Republicans to agree. You think the Republicans are going to agree to expand Obamacare? Does anyone believe that? Yet the media goes, oh, okay, well, I guess that's the state of play. Well, they're right, yeah. But in this case, the media enables this, but much more guilty are those Democrats. Those Democrats who never fight for you, don't actually agree with your position, aren't progressive, get the same donor checks that the Republicans get, and then turn around and tell you, no. No change is possible at all. Just take a tranquilizing drug of gradualism and understand that there's nothing that could be done. And then they wonder why you don't show up to vote for them. What the hell is there to vote for? Okay. But the rest of the news, by the way, will tell you, great news. Barack Obama is now in favor of the public option. And so is the establishment of the Democratic Party. Maybe yes, largely no. But the only way we'll find out is if you elect another Democrat. Make sure you elect more Democrats so they can let you down later. No, I mean, maybe deliver later on something they might not even believe in. I can't figure out why people are disgruntled with the Democratic Party. Can you figure it out? Young Turks.